Blox Fruits is really random, and it's filled with near impossible odds. So we'll be going over the most unlikely events that can happen inside of Blox Fruits. Also, with 500,000, I'm giving away 50k Robux, so consider subscribing. It's free and it helps a ton. Let's begin with absolute certainty, like being in the first sea, Kilo and Spin Fruit being in stock, and you watching this video. But now let's move below the 50-50s, like the Chop and Spring Fruit being in stock, both being pretty bad. Now we're dropping below 10% chance, with the Revive and Diamond Fruit being in stock, which may seem unlikely, but it's pathetic compared to the fruits later in this video. But in the meantime, let's talk about you, the actual player.
Who, me?
Picture this. You join a random Roblox game, you walk up to a player and ask them if they play Blox Fruits. What are the odds that they say yes? Well, the game itself says 11 million players make up for 0.6% of the game. If you divide both of those numbers, you get 1.95 billion. If we make a new Roblox account and find the ID, we get 4.1 billion, which means the odds that this random player has joined Blox Fruits is 47.6%, but it's probably lower because most accounts are fake. And of those 1.95 billion real or bot accounts, only 0.6% of those are in the second sea, and 0.4% are in the first, so you better get grinding. And speaking of grinding, let's move on to the boss drops. Now if you kill a boss, it can drop something really good, and that item can help you grind. But boss drops also come in random chance, some being pretty common. For example, the lay from the Kilo Admiral at 25% chance, and especially the 20% Accident Rifle from the factory. However, I can't say the same for the rest. The Chief Warden has a 5 to 10% chance of dropping the Warden Sword, and the Cyborg has a 1 to 2% chance of dropping his cool shades, which gives you these pretty handy upgrades. However, those odds are laughable if we consider the odds of a boss dropping many items at once. For example, the Order boss at the raid place drops 2 rare items, the Mythical Core Brain and the Coco Sword, but the chance of both dropping at the same time is 1 in 200. And on top of all of that, it's pretty hard to kill him. Like, how do you even catch that? On the topic of bosses, finding a sea beast is pretty unlikely, and it requires a lot of AFK sailing, but the chance of it dropping every single item at once is even more unlikely, at 1 in 640. The odds are getting pretty crazy, but we're just getting started. What is the rarest weapon in the game? The first possible item is a Dark Blade. Out of the 1.95 billion accounts, only a small portion of them have it. Unlikely, but far from the rarest, because any rich person can buy it. The second item is a Dark Dagger, which has a 1 in 40 chance to drop. And you may be thinking, isn't that too common? But what makes it rare is the fact that it comes from the level 5000 raid boss, which on its own takes a lot of work to spawn in, but any normal player can get it. So it's not the rarest. But get ready for this next one. The final possible item is the Triple Dark Blade, only given to famous people, staff members, or event winners hosted by admins. The odds of having this are probably in the millions, so it's likely the rarest. Titles are a fun way to flex your achievements, but what is the rarest title you can get? Believe it or not, there are some titles you can get from killing a famous YouTuber and even killing the staff members. Way to encourage targeting. But did you actually think those were the rarest? No, that would be the Pirate King. To get this title, you need to be lucky enough to own a top 10 crew. And considering the amount of players, that's highly unlikely. Now of course, all the previous titles require more than one person to get. But what is the rarest title you can get by yourself? That would be the Devil's Luck. To get this title, you need to go all the way to the Haunted Castle and find the graveyard. Then you gotta repeatedly pray in the cemetery until you get the Hollow Essence and God's Chalice, both at the same time. Each item is estimated to be a 1% drop, which means the odds are at least 1 in 10,000. Moving back to the stock chances, the Buddha Fruit has a 1 in 20 chance of being in stock. But consider this, the stock resets every 4 hours, which means the odds of Buddha being in stock for an entire day is 1 in 64 million, making it insanely rare. But if this next one blows it out of the water, Leopard is considered as the best fruit in the game. The chance of it being in stock is 1 in 147, but the odds of it being in stock for a whole day is 1 in 10 trillion. But even those are just rookie numbers compared to what we have at the end of this video. Now we're dealing with some serious numbers. Usually multiple fruits are in stock, but what are the odds of all of them being available? These are all the odds of all the fruits being in stock. You can pause the footage to read all of them. And after some very boring math, we finally come to the odds of 1.78e minus 36%, or this nightmare of a number. And the chance of all the fruits being in stock for an entire day is this massive number, which is more than the amount of atoms in the universe. Unlikely, but it's not the rarest of the video. Before we get even more unlikely, let's go over a pretty OP weapon that you can probably get. That being the Saber Sword. Believe it or not, some legendaries are pretty common. To get this sword, we need to go to the jungle in the first sea, then find 5 hidden buttons. Then go to this underground room where you'll find a torch. Then you gotta venture out to the desert area, then enter this abandoned house. Burn down the door with a torch and you'll find this cup. Then go to the frozen village, collect the dripping icicle water, then give it to this random guy. Then go to the pirate area, talk to the rich guy, go to that island, beat up the boss, and talk to him again. Then you'll get a relic. Finally go to the jungle to open the door of the relic to kill the boss, giving you the legendary sword at 100% chance. You know, all of his adventuring, combat, and dominance reminds me of another action-filled game, War Thunder, the sponsor of this video. War Thunder is a free multiplayer game about battles between aircraft, ships, and vehicles, and it's available on all of these devices. The vehicles range from the classic 1900s all the way to the modern days. The game is constantly adding new stuff for us to enjoy, which reminds me of the newest update, Fire and Ice, where both reconnaissance and strike drones are available to players, and even new finished vehicles. If you like burning stuff down, flamethrowers are now available on tanks and even ships, so knock yourself out. This game has some realistic physics, like bits flying off a damaged tank and ships being shredded when destroyed. But if you think about it, they're just minor setbacks, because you can always upgrade your vehicles with armor and even upgrade your crew to make them OP, just like in another familiar game. If you're one of those artsy people, I know I sure am, you're in luck because you can customize vehicles in this game. And speaking of vehicles, they come in 10 different nations. There's also custom game modes with football, races, and so much more. If you never played, go check out War Thunder with the link below, and you'll receive 500,000 shiny lions, a week of legendary German ground vehicles, free premium vehicles, XP boosters, a week of premium, and a lot more. And if you comment thank you War Thunder, you might win 5k Robux. Back to the video. Besides weapons, you can also use a fighting style to fight. Some are pretty common and others not so much. But what is the rarest fighting style in the game? You may think it's the most expensive one like Godhuman, but that's completely wrong. The rarest fighting style is actually combat, the beginner's one. When a new account joins, it starts with combat. But once you buy a new fighting style, you can never switch back to combat on that account, making it the rarest. Before we look at the most impossible and insane Blox Fruits odd, let's go over the rarest events caught on camera. The first one is a video of someone opening the stock, expecting it to be a pretty normal setup, but to his surprise, both Gravity and Venom are available at the exact same time. Two really good mythical fruits. By combining both of these odds, which are already crazy on their own, this event rounds up to be a 1 in 5,000 chance. If that's not luck, I don't know what is. This guy opens up the dealer and sees dough fruit on stock, which has a 1 in 75 chance of happening, but he can't afford it, which is kind of annoying. But not too long later, he specifically rolls a dough fruit from the cousin dealer, which has a 1 in 71 chance. But it doesn't end there. On the same day, he finds a phoenix fruit, which has a 1 in 30 chance of spawning. The odds of this happening back to back is 1 in 160k. This one claims to have the best stock in the game, so he finds a nice fruit, which spawns a 14% chance. Then he opens the stock to see ice, dark, dough, and even venom fruit available. The chance of all this happening is 0.000046%, or 1 in 2 million, and he rolls the worst fruit in the game. That's ironic. And now for the real deal of luck. Every hour, a random fruit spawns somewhere in the map, and you must find it if you want its powers. Here are all the odds of all the fruits spawning, and to no one's surprise, leopard is the rarest. The chance of leopard spawning in your server is 1 in 400. But the odds of leopard spawning in every server at once is 1 in 400 to the 29,000th power, more rare than all the fruits, titles, weapons, and items combined. Even a computer can't work it out. We went over the most insane Blox Fruits odds, but there's one more odd I want to talk about, and that is you being subscribed, which is pretty low. So go ahead and press subscribe to be considered lucky, and if we get 20k likes, I'll do part 2 with even crazier odds. But for now, that's a wrap.